It's 6:01, so this meeting is called to order at 6:01 on Tuesday, March 4th, 2025. This meeting will be live on chelmsfordtv.org/live, on Chelmsford TV's YouTube channel, on Comcast Channel 6, and on Verizon Channel 37. Anyone speaking tonight during the general public comment section of tonight's meeting can speak to an agenda item or a topic within the jurisdiction of the Board of Health. Anyone speaking tonight on the topic of 47 Market tobacco violation, please defer your comments to the limited public comment section under the hearing for 47 Market tobacco violation of tonight's meeting. Anyone speaking tonight on the topic of Kratom, please defer your comments to the limited public comment section under the hearing regarding Kratom of tonight's meeting. Each speaker will be called upon in order and will be given 3 minutes to speak. Each speaker is to state their name, address, whether you are speaking on behalf of yourself or another, such as a Chelmsford board, committee, client, or organization. Only one person per organization will be approved to speak on the same topic. I am the chair of the Board of Health. Each speaker is to address me directly. There are not to be any conversations without going through the chair. So, first item on tonight's meeting is approval of the minutes of February 4th, 2024.
If there's no discussion, I'll move to accept the minutes as written.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, unanimous. Okay, meeting approval minutes are done. So we're at general public comment section. Is there anybody that's not here for the two main things, which I don't think there is? Should we give it a minute just to make sure no one walks in for a second, and then we can close the open general public comment?
Motion to close open public comment.
Second.
Okay, do I have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. 3 is done. Okay. 4. Hearing, 47 Market tobacco violation. Call upon the representative from 47 Market. Please state your name in connection to 47 Market. Okay. Yes, please.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Glenn Keeley. I'm an attorney. I'm representing Mr. Kurana, who owns 47 Market Street.
Okay.
I'll try to keep this brief. When the board finds people, anybody who the government is imposing their will upon deserves evidence. In this, I have emails, which I believe Mr. Beauregard, who I know is a faithful servant of this town and works with the tobacco thing, admits there's no receipt of this alleged sale. You present an affidavit we don't know who the affiant is. Under the Sixth Amendment of the Constitution, anybody has a right to confront their accuser. The accuser is not Mr. Beauregard. He's not the person who supposedly bought the product. The person who bought the product remains unknown. He can never be subject to cross-examination. The affidavit is pre-filled, and he simply fills in some slots. And then on one of the parts where it says, 1, inside the store I, it has A through D, was dressed in my normal fashion, did not have an ID. None of that circled or X'd out. So did he do all of it or none of it? There's no way for us to even know that the man even is only 20 years old. Now, I'm not saying that anybody here is doing anything malicious, but I want you to put yourself in the place of a business owner. We're going to fine you on what evidence? Somebody purchased something. Where's the receipt? We don't have one. Where's the individual? He's not here. Well, we have this affidavit, but the individual didn't write this affidavit. This is a pre-filled out affidavit with no signature for us to ever look at. It's blanked out. Now, this man works here. He runs a store, and anybody, just put yourself on the other side of the podium for a minute. There's no possible way for us to ever fight back. If you were ever approached in a courtroom of that, you've been accused of something. Well, where's the person accusing me? They're not here. In criminal law, that's an automatic dismissal almost every time. Well, they said that you bought something. Where's the receipt? I don't have one. We've got this affidavit. was the person who signed it. An affidavit must possess personal knowledge. Not here. What's his name? We can't tell you. Is that really what the citizens of Chelmsford deserve? I think they deserve better. Now, if he had a receipt, a name, an ID, I wouldn't be here. He'd be caught dead on. He's got a picture of a jewel packet. For all Mr. Beauregard knows, Mr. Beauregard didn't see the sale to my knowledge. He said that the person told him he made it. How does he know he didn't pick that up? And Mr. Kuhara told him, I looked, that product was out of stock on that day. We didn't even have that product. So why is his word not taken, but the word of an affiant who is not here with a pre-filled affidavit and no receipt, why would that word be taken over a person who owns a business in the town and has been a good upstanding citizen for the entire time? Why is his word somehow less valuable than a person who's not here, doesn't have a receipt, and whose name we don't even know?
Okay. All right.
I would ask you to please reconsider the fine.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Well, I guess at this point we should call
May I be
on...
excused? I'm sorry.
Yes, yes. No, absolutely, no problem. Ron Beauregard, please come forward. Thank you.
Good evening. Ron Beauregard, your tobacco control agent. I fully appreciate the frustration that can come with receiving a correction order, in this case, due to a second offense, of $2,000 and potential subject to a suspension. I don't want to go too long. I did make a timeline because this was an extraordinary case. I perhaps first should address a couple of the points that the counselor made. I want to be sure that the board understands that while the affidavit is redacted to protect the anonymity of the youth, and by the way, as an aside, in order to fulfill our duty to do this job for compliance checks, what the counselor proposes would single-handedly, if that were the law, would single-handedly destroy the program, because revealing the anonymity, which is focused on all of our training for the youth from age 16 to 20 to enter the stores, if it were known that the law would require the revelation of the name of the person who was sent in, the program would cease to exist, or certainly wouldn't exist effectively. You'd be subjecting folks at a young age to coming before and revealing their identity. I am not a practicing attorney, but I do believe the attorney's comments are misplaced in regards to constitutional rights to face an accuser. I'm sure attorneys can disagree and agree on issues of whether or not there is a criminal matter. I know that the penalties often dictate or at least suggest whether something falls into a criminal category as opposed to one that is more for a fine or a suspension. This is original for me. I've been working with the program since 2001, and not once has an attorney or a retailer come before a board and made a demand, at least in our program, to have the identity revealed. The attorney, the counselor, good man, very polite to me, but I think it's clear that if the board has the affidavit, that while it's redacted, there is a signature on it. It's my signature. I want to state that in case there's any question whether it's my signature, it is. I'm the one that witnessed the individual go into the establishment. I'm the one that saw not a picture. I provided a picture. That's an important distinction. I have the package here. I can testify to you now that we went into the store, and I'm going to go through this, if you don't mind, piece by piece, because it is, with it all due respect, I understand, and I told both the counselor and the owner that I respect their decision to be here. But I'd be disingenuous to say that I, can be a little shaken by the challenge that I don't know any other way you can put it. Regardless of the kind words to me, the suggestion is that I set this up and that I'm lying. So I think it's important to go through the timeline. So we did our usual compliance checks on that day. We started off, I think we started off with a few stores beforehand. Everything went uneventful. And then at 1:29 p.m. was approximately the time of the sale. I parked nearby, I think it's Wilson Street on the side there. There's a gym, I think, in that vicinity. So I'm able to see him go to the side entrance door. There's not a front entrance door to the establishment. And the youth came back quite quickly, right around 1:30 p.m., so just a minute or two it took. And at that point, he comes into the car, and he had this pack of Juul pods. I think with the law, one other thing I want to mention before I go through the timeline, because I made a note, his reference to the law and a right to face an accuser. I think the Board of Health, and I know we've been always advised by the Massachusetts Association of Health Boards, Mass Health Officers Association, and the Mass Municipal Association, that the standard of proof is not beyond a reasonable doubt. That kind of a standard is not at issue here. It doesn't apply. Any court, the Massachusetts Appeals Court, or recently the Massachusetts Supreme Judicial Court, in a decision made in January of this year, re-emphasized the fact that decisions of boards of health will not be challenged by the appellate courts so long as they're not arbitrary and capricious, and that they rely on sufficient evidence. I took the liberty of making a little bit of checking of the law in regard to what those standards mean. And they mean that a decision is not arbitrary or capricious unless there is no ground which reasonable people may deem proper to support it. And substantial evidence is such evidence as a reasonable mind might accept as adequate to support a conclusion, considering the entire record, including whatever in the record fairly detracts from its weight. So in a nutshell, I did consult with Cheryl Sabara, attorney that helps us with the Mass Association of Health Boards, and her wording was, in a nutshell, if the board thinks it's more likely than not that a violation occurred, then they can uphold the violation. So anyways, on to the timeline. What I do is, after the check, this is my evidence, this is what I did. He brought back the Juul pods. He told me the cost. He gave me the change. He told me he used the two $20 bills that I gave him, and that the clerk provided him with the $18.02 in change. Now, at 1:33 p.m., I entered the data into my phone. It's a database program, and regarding the details of the sale, I took the change and I provide the youth with some additional currency for our next check, and then I drafted the correction order that I believe you may have. I hope. Sorry, it didn't come out so clear, and I'll learn my lesson on that one. And then what I do there is I fill that out. He fills out the affidavit. I sign it in his presence. And at 1:45 p.m. is the approximate time that I entered the store to deliver the correction order. Now, this is where it becomes extraordinary, and I apologize for taking more time than I usually do. But under my collaborative of 18 communities, regularly I have to address to the state our difference of handling the delivery of correction orders. Since I've worked under this program in 2001, I've always felt the duty to deliver the correction order as soon as I can after the sale. This does go against state protocol. And even the federal government, the FDA, that does compliance checks, do not adhere to this way of doing things. There's the risks involved, according to them, are potential notifying someone else of a sale that they were out there, although that can occur anyways if people suspect such a thing is going on in the community. And then the other reason, of course, would be the safety and security of the person, even the perceived, anger, let's say, or some, worry from a retailer. And I've had a few situations like that happen in the past, but I was able to calm things down. So I really appreciate what they do, and their anonymity is absolutely key to me. I witnessed it. I am not the first-hand witness of the sale, but I believe a reliable witness of the sale. So then once I went in there was only one person in the store, a young man, who there was someone in front of him, right at the counter, and he was buying lottery tickets. And I never want a delivery of a correction order to be one of embarrassment or any commotion. I always do it for the purpose of, in a manner of just, is the manager here? Is the owner here? Is someone here I can talk to? I don't want to get in the middle of business. I have my text messages and testify to that. I don't want to reveal the student's phone number. But at 1:52 p.m., I waited, as I always do, but I don't usually have to wait more than 3, 4, 5 minutes when there's only one person in the store, and as I understand it, there was only one person in the store. At 1:52 p.m., I text, and this is all from my text, I texted the underage purchaser indicating, quote, "Only clerk is in store. One customer keeps purchasing lottery tickets." He replied. At 1:54 p.m., I texted the underage purchaser that the status is the same, because I don't want them worrying about why I'm in there for so long. At 1:59 p.m., I texted the purchaser that the status was still the same. At 2:01 p.m., same thing. At 2:06 p.m., same. Finally, at 2:10 p.m., realizing that in kind of a humorous note, but I heard the refrain, just one more from the customer. And they won a little bit, and they wouldn't get away from the area. So I'm like I'm torn. I've never had this happen. I've been in the store about 15 minutes or so, and I want to keep working, but I don't want to give up my long-held policy of doing it what I feel has been the right way. So I went up to the clerk while the customer was there, and I asked, is there someone I can talk to? Is the owner? And at that point, he said he'd call the owner. Now, the poor owner, I feel badly. He was in India, but I didn't realize that. So I think it was late. It was probably midnight or something, if I recall, at that time. And of course, this sale's occurring in the afternoon. And I bring the phone, it's his phone, I believe. I think it was the clerk's phone. And I brought it to the Keno area in the back, and I whispered, and I said, "I'm sorry, this happened." And I really did what I would do if I was live. He wanted to talk. I'm sure he was, and we've been getting along for so long. We highly respect one another. I know he cares. I do know that. It's just the vast majority of these cases, meaning where there's a sale, it's not anyone hoping to make a sale. It's a mistake. So finally, I said I have to get off the phone, and I went about doing a few more compliance checks that day in Chelmsford. And then the next day I did a follow-up letter. So I think that's the main thing I wanted to communicate to you. If there's any questions you have at all, you can let me know.
Okay. Any questions from the board? Go ahead.
Yes.
Ron, your compliance check affidavit, I'm assuming that is in a completely standard form that is used throughout your operation.
That's correct. That's a standard form we use. It's to get the meat of the matter as to this is the way we do our protocol. It's funny, there's one in there that we kept that the person dresses in their normal fashion and doesn't look any older, appear to be any older. We don't do that, meaning we don't have anyone dress older. The only thing that's kind of interesting about that is that the age now is irrelevant. It doesn't matter how old you look, it's...
But my question is that this is part of established policy?
Yes, it's established protocol that we have an affidavit signed.
So it's been approved?
Yes, the state knows
Okay.
that we use
State
that
knows
protocol.
that we do it this way?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions? No? Yes.
Yep.
Am I allowed to ask him any questions or give a brief closing? I think he will.
Yeah.
Through the chair.
Yes.
You can ask the chair, and if he chooses to get an answer.
Okay.
Yes.
Mr. Chair,
You may
I-
enter.
May I ask him a question?
Yes.
Mr. Beauregard,
Yes.
you parked on Wilson Street, so you didn't see this actual transaction.
That's correct. I was not inside the store.
And may I ask him another one? This will be brief. I just
Yes.
wanna-
Go ahead.
You agree that a person would be getting a receipt for a sale would be a devastating piece of evidence against
Yes,
them? And.
but I could answer, if I could answer more
Go ahead,
fully.
please, sir.
That was, in all my years of doing thousands of compliance checks, it is so rare to get a receipt for a sale. The exceptions are usually the grocery stores, and back when they were allowed, like at pharmacies and such like that. Otherwise, at any of a store, what we call mom and pop, or really even sometimes at Cumberland Farms, but it's a very rare occurrence. So if everything rested on a receipt, and we're specifically told in our protocol to tell the students, don't ask for a receipt. We don't want them to get a receipt, lest they be called out on. Why would it was so unusual that it would be sticking out.
So is your testimony before the board, you tell people not to ask for a receipt?
No.
Well, you know something? Yes, in training, we'd say, don't ask for a receipt.
And in this affidavit in section 1, you have.
Put him in court. He's
No, we have, all these questions are gonna
Oh,
go
well.
through.
I apologize,
Yeah, okay.
Mr. Chairman, please accept my apology.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I'm not used to this
Yep.
format. May I ask him a question about the affidavit?
So if you could come to the podium,
Yeah.
any and all
Just get me-
questions,
Yeah.
and Ron, you could step aside.
Yeah.
Any and all questions that you have, you could ask.
I'd like to ask him the question.
No, you need to
No.
ask, you need to ask Rich, and he'll let Ron know if he can answer them.
Yeah.
Format's a little bit different.
Okay.
than I'm
Correct,
used to. I
yes.
apologize. And I'm sorry if I'm messing things up here. Inside, it says 1, inside the store I, it says A, was dressed in my normal fashion. I believe you just addressed that. It has 4 things. So are you stating that automatically all 4 of these are true? If the clerk asked me for my age, I told him the truth? Is he saying that the
Yes.
clerk asked him his age, and he said, oh, I'm only 20, and the clerk gave him the jewel? He's stating that that's automatic?
The key word there is if the clerk asks for my age. Yes,
Well, we-
this is reiterating the protocol we do in training.
But,
You're
so
not supposed to
we're
lie.
just taking the word of a person who I understand, even in a courtroom, an undercover police officer at some point has to come in. He has to come in and
No,
say.
we're not,
I understand it's not, a
Okay.
criminal trial, and I understand it's a different standard.
well, it's non-criminal.
But it does punish a person.
Well,
So
No, we're not gonna get into
you can
that.
state your statements and what you want to say, and then Ron can make his statements, and then we can go.
And I will leave it at this. He has stated he did not see the actual purchase.
Yes.
And the person is not here. Mr. Borg, I thank you very, very much for your time. All right, thank you very much. And I thank the board for hearing me out,
Okay.
and I
All
appreciate
right.
your time very much.
Thank you.
All right.
Any other
N-
questions?
No. Any other? No, we're all set. Thank you. Okay. So we're now at limited comments for this. Anybody here that?
Yep. Anyone in the
Any other
public?
questions? Public?
I don't recommend I apologize. My client is asking the chairman if he may speak.
Yes. Yeah.
Good evening, board. My name is Bob Khurana, and I'm the owner of 47 Market. I'm serving very hard to the community of Chelmsford. This incident was happened, and I was out of the country. when it was limelighted to me, and it was 1 a.m. in the late night at that time in India. It's not relevant to the incident, but I was the first person, who asked this Mr. Ron. When I spoke with him, he was in my store. I asked him, do you have the receipt of the product? He said, no. Then my question is, why couldn't he ask the cashier for the receipt? You try to understand, I checked as a proof. I checked my inventory. This product was not in my custody. How shall I sell that product? His witness been to 9 places on that day. There may be some possibility, it's a human error possibility, like the product was sold by somebody else, and this error has been happen. But there is a possibility of the human error. Mr. Ron, the first incident when the violation was done at my premises, it was not done by me, by the employee. He was having the proof of the receipt. He was having the receipt. We couldn't challenge it. We accepted our mistake. I fired my employee, and I said, I cannot afford it, this sort of negligency, because this is not a question of money or a fine. This is not in a good for the community. I'm working very, very hard for the community. And only one question, once there is no authenticity of the product has been sold by us, at least like my ground is, I ask, this product is mine. He must have to be proved. One affidavit cannot prove this is your product. If I go to Walmart and say this is your product, Walmart will not accept it. Nobody can accept it. I can buy the product from somewhere else and go to somewhere else. It's not logical, sir. This is my stand. The first violation, he was having the receipt. Yes, he was having the receipt when the first violation was done. We paid $1,000. And I asked him on the phone, did you have the receipt on the phone when I spoke with Mr. Ron? He said no. And he couldn't told us. I was in a telephonic conversation with him. He couldn't told me he's going to give me this $2,000 fine ticket. He just left as a piece of paper, and we found it, ma'am, after 3-4 hours. We couldn't know this sort of violation was done at my premises. And next day, I was the first person who called health department in the morning at sharp 8 a.m. when it opened, and I spoke with Ms. Sherlin, and I explained everything, and nobody knows. They said, Bob, like Ms. Donna can come and she will be in charge. Then I requested her, and she said, Bob, then she gave me an opportunity to extend this hearing because I was out of the country, and thank you, ma'am, for that. Product is not in my custody. I was out of the stock. Where is my violation, sir? At least prove me I'm wrong. That's it. Simple. If he proves I'm wrong, I will accept my mistake. If he is unable to prove on a piece of paper, blah, blah things, sir, what is my mistake, sir? I'm not here, I'm making $1. If I'm making a $1 profit on a product, how I can accept to make a nuisance for the $2,000 penalty? I will fire immediately, sir. I cannot afford these sort of violations. This is ruined my reputation. I have a good name in the market. I'm working very, very hard. My competitors sell fake clients, sir. Always, I got a fake inquiry from the lottery department because my sales are very, very good. People love my place. Ask anybody. I never find any single complaint on me. Nobody filed any complaint. And if I'm wrong, why should I come with the attorney? There is some authenticity in my claim. That is the reason I'm here, to justify myself. My communication skills are not good because my first language is not English. That's the reason I asked legal help, because I don't know about it. Just prove it I'm wrong. That's it. I will immediately accept my mistake. If you can't explain, then, sir, I'm not eligible. There is a possibility of the human error, sir. Simple. That's it. This is my stand.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Is there anybody else in the public, for this public comment thing over this particular 47 Market? Okay.
Motion to close the public.
Okay, motion to close the public.
Motion to close?
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay. All right. All right, so we go to documents, all right. Well, I guess the board,
So I can clarify for you
Yes,
how
go
this
ahead.
regulation works.
yes,
I know David wasn't here before.
right,
So how the regulation comes down is we can't reduce or just excuse it if it happened. So you need to choose or make the decision. If it happened, the fine stays. If you feel it didn't happen, then you could excuse the fine.
okay.
It can't be reduced or,
Change the modified, whatever, okay, all right. Any comments from the other board members?
I don't know. In a moment, maybe. Hold on.
Go ahead.
Well, I'm interested to know does the market have a policy for giving receipts? Just anecdotally, I know that at convenience stores, et cetera, it's rare that I see a receipt. So it didn't surprise me, shall we say, that there was no receipt given. So is there a policy to give receipts or?
that's, the discussion's just amongst us at this
Sorry.
point.
I'm sorry.
That's
So
okay.
I'm interested to know if there is a policy on that, and if there is one, it wasn't met. I mean, I think that the issue is that he didn't get a receipt. Well, I'm sure that probably many people that day didn't get a receipt.
Well, I think
Yeah.
Mr. Beauregard kind of answered that, is that out of the thousands of inspections that he made to see if anybody was selling, that
It's often not done.
it's often not done, and in all seriousness, as an individual like yourself, going into corner variety store kinds of places and whatever, other than, like he also mentioned, the supermarkets and that have a very distinctive system that they have that you must, there isn't any question about it. Have I seen receipts? Do I get receipts from whenever I do it? The answer is, in my 70-some years, I probably haven't, that I can remember, ever received this receipt for any kind of buying of any kind of product and these kinds of things. So, but I guess my own comment is that the bottom line is that, over 20-some years that the board has been involved with the tobacco control process in a regional basis where somebody else is doing to give some uniformity to the inspections by him doing it in multiple towns, that it's not like, well, Chelmsford does it one way and another town does it another way. It's a little bit more uniformed and done. And over all those years, the idea of having a minor / and an adult that's also working for the program to actually take money out of a system and hand it to the individual to go into the store, and that individual comes straight out to that individual, the car or vehicle, or whatever they are, and hands it over to them, and they go through the process. I mean, there's no reason, there's no benefit to the minor or for the program to be out there, looking to see how many sales that, he can go through a heck of a lot more stores if no one's selling it, the product. He can get 15 or 20 done in a day versus, 5 or 6 kind of thing. So I don't see that there's any. The receipt thing is the thing, but it's not the common practice that I've seen anywhere, and therefore I don't get hung up on the receipt in this kind of non-criminal, disposition process that the towns have, and anything beyond that is, a further process. But I think we have the situation where do we believe that Mr. Beauregard and the minor party that was with him went into this facility and walked out with a product of question and concern? Did it happen or not happen? And in all these years that I've been involved with it, and some of the other board members have been involved with it, we're pretty confident and that it did happen, and therefore, I would recommend, but I don't make the motions, as the chair of which way we go, but, that's my own thing.
What I would say is they kind of both answered it, your question. Mr. Corona, there was a first violation. He gave a receipt that time. And the other thing is that Mr. Beauregard, we worked with him for many years, and that we know his standards, and Mr. Corona has been a very good citizen. He's been before us before when he applied to have, I think it was coffee, and we were happy that he's taken over the spot and, filling what used to be Feeney Florist and such. And then on the other hand, Mr. Beauregard, we've never had to question anything. He's always maintained a very high standard. So, can we?
It's out of order. If it is,
It is.
Yeah, it is.
It's
It
a-
would
It
be.
is, okay.
But again, as I said, so,
So I think that this is one of those sad cases that the problem is that we have good people all around.
yeah.
But the question is ultimately, there's only one question. Do we feel as a board that a product was purchased at the store by somebody under 21 years old?
Yes. And if we believe that happened, well, then, then we have to vote that the violation and the appropriate things stand as issued by the notice of violation.
And what we've been through before is that there is no wiggle room beyond that.
No, I understand. what
The
Tom
state,
said. Yeah.
says,
I'm very clear on that,
So
yeah.
that's the only plus about being chair. I don't have to make the motion. Wow. I'm not,
so,
I'm making a motion that we uphold the violation.
okay. Do we have a second?
second.
Second, okay. All right.
We have to take a vote.
Vote, yes. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, aye, aye. Unanimous. All right, then the violation stands. Okay. Thank you.
very much for your time.
Thank you for coming. All right. So, next, what time is it anyways? Oh, it is.
Past
Okay.
the half past, right, so we are going to time.
So we're definitely past 6:30. So it's 6:38 or something like that. Sorry. 6:30. Okay, whichever. 6:38. Okay, public hearing for kratom regulation. Okay, limited public comment. Limited public comment regarding kratom is now open at this time. Reminder, each speaker will be called upon in order and will be given 3 minutes to speak. Each speaker is to state their name, address, whether you are speaking on behalf of yourself or another, such as a Chelmsford board, committee, a client, or organization. Only one person per organization will be approved to speak on the same topic. All discussions to go through me as the chair. All right, so, public comment.
Have them line up at the podium.
Yes,
Podium.
that might be the simplest way, just to line up on the podium and give us your name and address and, okay.
There. Good evening. I'm Erin Gendron, 56 by the B Ave, Lowell, Mass. In all transparency, I was in your shoes 6 months ago. I'm a member of the Board of Health in Lowell.
Okay.
I'm speaking on behalf of myself, I'm not, but I am on the board. In August of 2024, Megan's House, a recovery center for women, opened a discussion with the board on a substance called kratom being sold within the city limits, used by women in the program, which gave an opioid-like effect. And after doing research and seeing the lack of solid research that there are acceptable safety measures for use, we moved forward with the same process that you are all in today. The Supreme Court of Massachusetts upholds that the right to engage in business yields paramount to the government's duty to protect public health at large. I'm going to say it again. The right to sell ends at our duty to protect the public. Looking at the marketing, sales, and distribution of these products, There are not enough safeguards, warnings, or education on the products or regulatory process to meet the safety standards for 21 plus or otherwise. Lowell officially banned kratom in January of 2025. Just to give an update, after speaking with the tobacco commissioner at Lowell, there's been extensive educational efforts to our store owners. The store owners have been receptive, and there have been no violations issued to date. I want to thank the Chelmsford Board of Health as our neighboring town for bringing this forward. I support this ban. Thank you.
Thank you. Who else? Okay, thank you.
Hello, my name is Holly Truval, 74 Tennis Plaza Road in Dracut. I am here to support the ban of kratom. This is the third time I'm in front of the Board of Health. I lost my son to mitragynine toxicity on February 6, 2024. That was his sole cause of death. There was no secondary death. There are also no opiates in his body. I come to you. I was at Lowell when they spoke. Dracut did just ban it February 20th in Dracut. It was so important to Dracut that our state legislature of Colleen Gary was there also to support it. We were in Nashua last night because Nashua is talking about it as well. I am here because I don't think there's enough regulations. I truly believe my son was getting addicted and did not know. He drank a kratom seltzer drink that was marketed as alcohol-free, caffeine, and sugar-free that he bought in a kava bar because he really didn't drink alcohol much. And unfortunately, I'm going to assume that's what they say is too many of them caused him to die from pure accident. And there was no overdose on his death certificate. It was just an accident. I don't think the FDA has had concerns for a long time, and that's why they haven't regulated it. And I feel that until it is regulated and until there's enough research done, that it should be banned, because we already have such a drug epidemic in this country, and to, see so many people be in recovery and then to get addicted to something else, I don't think is beneficial, and I think it's almost taking a step back. So I appreciate your time tonight, and I hope kratom is banned in the town of Chelmsford. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anybody else wants to speak? Okay.
Good evening. My name is Jennifer Healy, Tanglewood Drive, Northeastern Massachusetts. And I am here because I do not believe that we should have a ban on kratom. There has been medical research done that shows that the drug itself, when used properly, can help people who are in severe addiction mode, help them through their withdrawals. I don't know if you've ever seen anybody who's going through withdrawals from heroin or anything like that, but it's pretty brutal. And honestly, a lot of people who do drugs, they will continue to do the drug because they don't want to go through the withdrawals to get off of it. As well as this particular plant does have properties in it that help with chronic pain. All right, I've been a chronic pain patient for the last 12 years, and it's ruined my life. I've been down the road with fentanyl, Vicodin, all that stuff, and I choose not to take it. I don't want to be addicted to another drug, and kratom, although I believe anything can be addictive, when you look at kratom, the incidence of someone being addicted to it is very low. It comes in several forms. It comes in a whole leaf. It comes in powder. But the thing that really needs to be concentrated on, and where I do agree that there should be a ban, is the 7-OH part of that plant. If you go into some of these smoke shops, they have these little, like those energy drinks that you drink, that say 7-OH on it. Those are what's causing people to get sick and causing a lot of problems. And the FDA has been absent in regulating this. I will give you that. They have been absent. They can't figure out which way to go on it. So today I would like you to consider making a compromise, getting rid of the really bad stuff on the shelves that are going to hurt people, and leaving the stuff that's there that is not going to hurt people, that are helping people through addiction and that are helping people with chronic pain, because there are a lot of people out there. nobody wants to see anybody lose a loved one. I've lost through the heroin addiction, and I know how bad it is. So I don't wish that on anyone. I'm simply looking, and there are many other people looking for solutions on how to resolve this. So that's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Anybody else back there? Row by row? Go ahead.
Frank Truval, Broadway Road, Drake. I just want to say I'm for banning kratom. Been a correction officer for 23 years. I've not caned people. I've dealt with overdoses. I've watched every single person come off heroin, fentanyl. And I have an inmate, a former inmate, who cleaned his whole life up. He bought 3 sober houses. And I was talking to him at my nephew's benefit. My nephew has passed away from this. I was talking to him at the benefit, and he was telling me he had a bunch of his guys, and he's like, they're high. They're on something. I cannot tell what they're on. And they kept testing clean. And he knows what they are. You know, he knows what the signs are and everything, and they acting just like they were high on opiates. And he ended up finding out, one of them told him, yeah, we're taking kratom. So it's making them feel like they're high. So I'm for a ban of kratom. That's all I have to say. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, yes.
Good evening. Thank you for letting me speak.
Sure.
My name is Linda Truval, and I have been an educator in Drake for 55 years. And my goal is to protect our students, not just in Drake, but in every town. And when somebody can go into a gas station and buy a drink at 12 years old that we know has probably some of the kratom in it, I have a concern about that. And as an educator, all educators need to protect our children so that they don't have to make these kind of choices that will allow them to take something that might not be good for them. I am in support of the ban, and my goal is to protect all young people so that they don't have any addictions that are caused by too much of kratom and or kratom death, as my grandson. And anybody who has lost somebody close to them knows how that affects a family. So thank you for allowing me to speak. I am for the ban, and that's all I have to say.
Okay, thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Thanks. Anybody else back there? I don't see any movement, so I guess.
Motion to close public comment?
Second.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Public comment is closed. All right, so the board can have a discussion over this issue. Do you want to work this way here, or you? I can start.
Please start, yes.
I never stop,
Get the ball rolling, please.
I'll
Thank
get
you.
the ball rolling, yeah. I mean, again, personally, I think Dr. Meikle will be different. I've heard it, but I didn't hear it about it until it was brought up in Lowell and whatever, and never kind of blinked up there, that there was something else out there that, that has some potential. I think clearly, when we started to look at it, the last few hearings but discussions that we've had in the last few meetings, is that we didn't know whether, something's happening in Lowell, is it happening here? And all of a sudden we look around and the answer is, yes, there is a number of places that you never thought knew that it was being sold at in town. And like you said, even though a lot of the packaging that we did finally look at and see through a lot of the documents, the thing, has this adult, kind of thing, but there's no capacity to enforce that. There's no anything. So therefore, it's an open product for everybody, and also particularly minors. I know that some of the things they're not minors maybe, but the fact is that it has even bigger potential that, there's this new thing out there that can give you that feeling, whatever, how you discuss it, and that there's no way for us to control this thing. I mean, we can't do what FDA does. We don't have any capacity to regretfully draw a line and saying, well, this product is okay, but these other types of products or dosages or whatever that it's coming in is good, and this one here is not so bad. So we'll make a decision and kind of mix and match with no capacity to really know the whereabouts for it. So yeah, that's all I got to say. So.
I agree with everything you just said. I find it odd in all my years of public health that I looked at the cover of the Lowell Sun and they had banned kratom, and I did not know what it even was. And now it's on every feed that I can see. So I've really been immersing myself in the ups and downs and the do's and don'ts of it, and I'm looking at it from a pure public health perspective. And it's our goal to protect and preserve the health and safety of the community that we serve. And I think one way that we can do that would be to, at a minimum, regulate or at best ban a substance that we know can cause problems. We could also use the analogy of alcohol. Sure, kids are not supposed to be consuming alcohol. We all know that they do, that there are adults and older kids who will buy it for them, so that's not really an answer in that area. So as much as I appreciate, and I really do, and especially the last two meetings, we've had a lot of incredible and very personal and moving public comment from people, which is invaluable all the way around. It is a very, very, very tough call. But again, now that I talked to the Lowell Health Department, I understand Drake now is involved. I heard Nashua is now involved. So there tends to be some kind of there's a trajectory here all the way around, and I also remember that there are many states that do ban this as well in the absence of FDA. So it appears to be more of a trend to regulate and or ban it than not. And I'm concerned that, just like with tobacco, underage people could still get access to it quite easily through other mechanisms. So it's also pretty difficult to regulate as well. It's kind of uncharted territory for health departments. So that's my thinking.
Okay.
Eric?
I was going to say, it may at some point, or at some level, be a wonderful drug. However, you can become high on it. You can become addicted to it. Babies can be born addicted to it. You can ultimately die from it. And I think the problem is that it's beyond our scope to try to figure out how to regulate who can buy what concentrations, what types, et cetera. I don't think that we have that expertise. I don't think that we have that kind of staff to go and find out to do that kind of work. I think that the only thing we have at this point is to be able to do a ban locally on what is a drug. And I think that the efforts in terms of promoting where it would be useful have to be done at a higher level, state, FDA, et cetera, to sort of figure out, how to, what's appropriate, how to regulate there. But I think that I don't really have a question about what we need to do today.
Mm-hmm.
I think then is this the right document? Is there anything that anybody has an issue with?
Okay. All right. So there's sort of a consensus from what I'm hearing that that's the direction we want to go to. The question is the document that we have in the particular draft regulation that we have, is it thorough enough and specific enough that we believe it is a regulation that, number one, that we can enforce, which is one of the things that we have to do if we create regulations. We're obligated to make sure that it happens. And secondarily, does it really cover all the bases that are within our purview? And my own review of the regulation, with some of the minor blips and changes that we've looked at from other communities that have been doing it in other states and whatever, that I think it's comprehensive enough to deal with what we got to deal with. And as Dr. Meikle said, that when other parties above us, okay, finally make some decisions about the who, what, where, and why kinds of questions that are out there, that we then may be revisiting it and saying, you know, technically, locally, we can be a little bit stricter, okay, than the state and federal regulation if we have certain concerns that are still out there. But at this point, we're not in that position. But, I mean, anything that's finally comes through, finally from the state and the feds, we would then have some further review of it if we think that there's anything necessary to take a look at, so. So, as I said, myself personally,
I think the draft document is very well done, to be honest with you. And
Yeah.
I think it does cover to me,
Yeah.
every contingency that I can reasonably perceive
yeah.
to come across. And it's the language is clean and it's
Yeah.
well done from that perspective. So I think it meets our criteria.
So
And-
I just wanted to
Go ahead.
clarify the two
Yes.
that you have here.
Yes.
So the first one that you have
Yes.
is the draft that I did, and then our legal counsel, town council reviewed
Reviewed
it.
it, and then we have the
You see the red,
red one,
Yeah.
yes.
That's
yes,
the adjustments
yes,
he's
yes,
made?
Yes, yes.
the second copy is when I accepted his changes.
Okay, okay.
So
Yeah.
just to clarify the two.
Yes, so we're looking at the second copy of after the changes, okay.
So-
Is what we would be voting on as a motion potentially.
If you agree with the writing that's in there,
If we
yes.
rose,
And to be
yes.
clear, this was based on Lowell's.
We
So
started with Lowell's, yes.
Start with Lowell's, which has been vetted by them. We wrote our own little version with a couple of changes based on last month.
Right,
Town council has reviewed, those changes have been put in there.
yes.
And to our eyes, it looks like it is complete, it looks like it is enforceable, and it is basically the will that we have in common,
Right, right.
so.
Yeah, and also, too, we're treating it as we ban that product like other products that potentially have been banned by, other entities and whatever. We're sort of treating it the same way in that we make the regulations, and any kinds of fines and other kinds of things would be in the same ballpark. So what I'm saying is, we're not being less stringent, compared to other products that would come across our table to be reviewed.
That's an advantage to this, I believe.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. Okay. All right. So.
And if regulations change and there's a benefit and it is controlled,
Mhm.
at this point, I don't want a 12-year-old to be able to pick it off the shelf.
Right.
So,
Right. Okay. So.
so,
the question-
motion to accept the regulation as written.
Okay. Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Unanimous. Then passed and effective immediately. Correct.
If that's what you want,
Yes. Yes.
we will get to all of the
Yeah.
places tomorrow and have them take it off their shelves.
Okay. All right, super. All right. All right. Well, thank you for coming. Okay, now we gotta get back.
Allowing us to speak, thank you.
Thank you.
Where am I? Back here.
Right, incoming now.
Okay. Okay. All right, next thing on the agenda is incoming. Is that what I'm seeing? Yeah, it must be, yes. Incoming correspondence. Okay, so you want to go through them? and-
Sure.
Sure, thank you.
The first one is Tropical Smoothies pumping report
Okay,
that they have been sending us monthly.
Did we tell them that if they want to apply, that
That's in here. You had me send them a letter, and
Yeah.
that letter's in here. I'll show you in the outgoing
in
section.
the outgoing, yeah.
okay.
The next one is Corner Cupboard. They had a tobacco violation. Ron and his folks went in and they did have a violation. They have already paid it.
Okay, all right. Okay.
All right, your next document is from Fuss and O'Neill, and it's communication between them and DEP. It's actually the request for a clear water test at 255 Princeton Street.
Okay.
The request was to be scheduled on March 10th.
So have they physically built?
255 Princeton Street, there's a lot that's been built.
Okay, okay, okay.
If you look at the third page, it will show you the items that DEP expects them to have completed prior
to them.
to the March 10th.
Okay, okay, okay. Have we been out there at all?
Mark's been stopping by.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. I didn't know whether Dan or anybody else, not that they had to, but I'm just saying, I just didn't know.
Oh, no, it's all state.
No, I realize it's all state, but I'm
Right.
just saying, someone that's seen treatment plans and whatever before.
Yeah, we have not consulted Mill River to go there.
Okay,
Yep.
that's fine, that's fine. That's fine.
The next document goes along with those. It is the letter from DEP. It's the approval of transfer for the groundwater discharge permit and the revised groundwater discharge permit.
When they say transfer, what's that about?
It was from the original property just over to them.
Oh, okay.
Page 2 shows you the special conditions that are required.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
And that's
Got
all
it.
with the state through
Yep.
the developer at 255 Princeton.
Okay, all right.
All right, the next one is a public notification, which is always a requirement. It's a release abatement measure. This was prior to the demo of 270 Borka Road.
Right.
So they have to send that in, and by the time we actually get it, but we got it right after the
We did.
last meeting, so
Oh.
you didn't get this
Okay.
on that one,
Wasn't
so.
there, okay.
They're done, demoed.
Demos?
Yeah.
I haven't been down the street yet, so I didn't see
Yeah,
it missing.
yeah.
It's
They went pretty fast.
flat. I was
Yeah.
going past it just today,
Yeah.
yeah.
So they're under the other boards, conservation, and other, are looking at how they manage the site while they.
I'm sure, I mean, I know they had
I
their,
know they put some restrictions on
they
it.
put all their restrictions, and they
and
need to
stuff on
follow
it.
up with
Okay,
those too.
Okay, all right, good, that's good, okay.
That's the end of incoming?
All right, so, motion?
Motion to accept?
Second. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, incoming is accepted. Outgoing.
All right, outgoing. So on outgoing, this is our zoning board of appeals. As you know, they all come before us. There's no concern or jurisdiction of the Board of Health. On this one, this is for 8 Columbia and 10 Minor Ave. It was changing the lot size between the two,
Oh, okay,
making one smaller and the other one bigger.
oh, okay, okay.
The next one is for 26 Vinyl It's for massage therapy business. And they just had to go before zoning for the zoning bylaw.
Zoning, because it's not even accepted under the existing list, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, all
Oh, wait,
right.
but this is a business that's been there for,
Yeah, it's,
15,
if you look,
20
it's
years?
requesting an after-the-fact special permit.
Yeah.
So they started and,
so it's been
We're
around for
told they
like
needed a
15,
permit.
20 years and, okay.
I don't think that particular one's been there that long.
Pot Town?
Hmm?
I think so.
Think so? When we have planning board giving us updates, we can ask that question later. The next one is 4 Courthouse Lane, Unit 16.
Yeah.
It's for muscular therapy.
Muscular therapy place.
Again, no
Okay.
jurisdiction for the Board of Health.
Yeah, yeah.
And the next one is 2 Indian Drive. It's for an enclosed porch for the back of the house. Again, no jurisdiction for us.
Okay. These places are all sewer and all that other kind of stuff.
Yeah,
too, So there's
yeah.
nothing there, okay.
Yep, and Dr. Miko, last time you had put the request in and the board approved to send Tropical Smoothie a letter, letting them know they did not need to send the continued pumping reports based on their due diligence and the results that have been coming in. So they have received that.
You give them 10 days? You give them 10 days to respond?
No, I just sent them a letter saying that they didn't need to.
Well, as I said, they.
We had already sent them a letter in the hearing, and then you wanted to have us send a letter saying, because of their good,
Gotcha, okay.
Behaviors that
I'm
we were-
reading, I'm reading the original.
oh, right, we were being,
variance.
yes.
It's at 10 days,
Okay.
sorry.
All right, so as you know, we, under the layoffs, we did lose a public health inspector. And with that, we work with a NEPA group, Northeast Public Health Alliance, which we get state grants. And into that state grant, we're looking to hire actually 2 public health inspectors. There's job openings for those. But in the meantime, to stay caught up, this grant will cover this company. We've already gone through 3 bids and all of that. It's Mogen Solutions LLC. So they will start doing inspections for us, just food establishment inspections and/or retailers, It's not housing or any of that.
Okay.
So in order for them to go into an establishment, they need something to hand off
Yes.
to the owner or the manager or the
All right.
person on duty, who they are. So this is the letter that I drafted, and I just wanted the approval from the board that you would agree to letting them be an agent for food establishments. The time frame is only from March 5th through June 30th, 2025.
Okay, so, yeah, so it's a. that
So
period
just
of
like a
time.
motion,
Yeah.
if you would approve.
Okay,
Motion to approve the letter regarding Mogen Solutions.
okay, do I have a second?
What do you got?
Second, yes, I second it.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay, all right,
Motion to accept outgoing correspondence.
all right.
Second?
Second, all in favor? Aye. Okay,
Aye.
unanimous. Planning board updates, there he is. Now you can't get your kratom anymore, you know?
Sorry.
Joel Luna, Planning Board. Yeah, you guys have done a fantastic job with that, by the way, and a lot of the things you've been handling. I don't think there's much going on between us right now, except for the gap analysis, which we voted that we wanted to have the person who's doing the gap analysis actually come before the whole board. I think he was wanting just 2 or 3 of us, but the whole board wanted to have the interaction, so that's what we'll do.
Okay,
And apart from that, just the ADU thing I'd mentioned before, that got passed through town,
yeah,
special town meeting, and then we're working on some other zoning articles for town meeting.
okay,
One that we had hoped to get on, which was rezoning of Kate's Corner, has had a lot of complications with it, so that probably will not get on the town warrant.
okay,
But town manager has introduced a couple of zoning articles of his own. That was interesting. One he pulled back, which was the Kate's Corner area.
okay,
So that's about it.
okay. Well, let's take a look at those.
Oh, and with regards to 270, there was part of the, I believe it's both Planning Board and Conservation Commission
Yeah,
do have an agreement that basically we have a third party on-site representative that will make sure they're complying with, particularly with the remediation, not the remediation, but how they handle any encountering soil or water contaminated.
okay,
And they have a stop work authority, so if it's not complying with the way it should be, then they have the authority to stop work, so.
great, super.
Is anything happening with Hildreth Street?
Well, as you know, we denied Hildreth, that's being appealed, and we haven't had any executive sessions on that since then.
Okay,
So it is still before the Conservation Commission.
And on our end for 10 Hildreth, the owner did report to DEP as he was sent a letter from us back when, and he had a year to remediate.
Mhm.
Nothing's occurred yet.
okay, so they're not doing much, okay.
Right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anything else?
No,
All right, thank you very much.
glad to see you.
Thank you.
All right,
Okay, motion to accept planning board updates.
okay,
Second.
okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you. New business.
All right, so the next one is actually Ron has requested to have a discussion before the board. And it's in regard to ID scanners.
Yeah,
So
that's
if, Ron, if you
interesting,
want
yeah,
to.
that's an interesting change out there, yeah.
Thanks for hearing me again.
Yeah, no,
So, I told you how long I've been doing it.
yeah.
And, and so when you do something on a regular basis and you still get the same result over and over again, if I'm honest with myself, I say, well, I try to evaluate myself. Am I making a difference? Am I making things better? So with when it comes to the compliance checks, or as they're affectionately known and probably more accurately known as stings,
Yeah.
we get the same rate. We've gotten the same rate our program has gotten the same rate for a long
Okay.
time. Now, I'm pleased with the fact that in general our rate is better, better rate, meaning a lower rate of failure to ask for ID than the state average. Ours usually hovers around 5 to 10%, more 5 to 9. Right now, I'm feeling a 9 and a 10. Right now is where we're at, and we're about 70% of our complete for the fiscal year. And, you know, kind of make a little bit of fun with it is, you know, is if I bang my head against the wall every day and, you know, I said, geez, my head hurts and I keep banging my head. And someone would tell you, don't bang your head against the wall. So we're doing it the same way all the time. And the difficult thing of my job, and if it comes out that I'm, if you want to call it conflicted over how my duty of my job versus my relationships with the retailers, is I'm an education first. We've always been that way with the program. And to me, the best way to educate is not to lecture and just say you've got to do this, this, and that, but it's to literally build a relationship, get to know people. This was true of Bob Nesh. So my idea is this. It occurred to me in my conversations, or when I'm doing my inspections, that folks make reference to the marijuana establishments now that are in existence. And I hear, oh, I had to get ID'd. You know, I got to scan my ID every time. And it got me thinking a little bit about it. And another thing got me thinking about it, even more so than that, because that was more second. The thing that really lit up my brain about this was I met a gentleman in Westford. And sometimes when I do my inspections, I look at the system that they have, the cash register systems. And they vary greatly from an old-fashioned just register without any scanning of a product at all, which is the minority of the 350-ish retailers we have. And then the ones that when you scan it, it generally prompts on their screen something much smaller, about this size, proportional-wise, that is looks like a calculator, and it'll usually have a statement to say, you know, ID customer, and then they enter the age. They look at the ID the way it's supposed to work. Look at the ID and they punch it in, and then they hit it, and it goes through as long as they're 21 or over. Now, invariably, they have a system that will allow the clerk to make a judgment call. So at my age, let's say, goes in. And, you know, I'm not going to have to show an ID. I'm not saying this is for everyone, but I would guess the majority, based on the kind of fun we have when I give them the sign that says you have to ID everyone, and some are very bold and just come right up to me and say, I'm not doing that, Ron. You know, and I say, look, I can only tell you what the law is. You know, what you do with it is everyone's own personal responsibility. I advise you to do this. Plus, it gives cover for the clerks to point to the sign. This one here that I went in Westford, when they scanned it, the next thing on the screen, once you scan the tobacco, said, scan ID. I saw that, and I said, Mike, how do you override that? No, he says, you can't. And I said, well, it must be something. And he goes, nope. He says, everyone has to be ID'd. Now, he has beer and wine and tobacco. And when I said, you realize you're going on a limb doing this. It's not a law. You don't have to do it. And he goes, I know. And he goes, don't get people, didn't they get upset? And he goes, yeah, they did it first, but they got used to it. And I says, what really motivates you to it? And I'll never forget, he came really close to my face and he said, I sleep at night. He says, I don't have to worry about a mistake. Mm-hmm. And then I know of a few of these systems. I know a couple in Haverhill, and they have it, but we actually got a sale there not too long ago. And I was dumbfounded, but not so much after the student told me what happened is he asked for the vapes, and they said, do you have an ID? He said no, and he was on his way out, and the clerk said, hold on. And she grabbed out of her jacket her own ID and scanned it. And so, and this was confirmed by the manager. I mean, this is what he told me, and her manager told me. Said, by the way, from a family of smokers, mom, dad, aunts, uncles, cousins, I try to tell the student and others that as misdirected and illegal as it is to do that, it is an act of empathy, most likely. It's someone saying, I was there and I want to help out. Whether the empathy is misguided or not, to me, that's where it's coming from. Well, and another example of this happening is when we were in another town. We came back, this same individual that, had this sale here. And he came, it took him a little long, and he said, well, there was a line. And I says, okay. And then as soon as he came in the car, one car from me a guy in a truck, can't make this stuff up, a guy in a truck, he says, hey, and he's waving a pack of Marlboro cigarettes. Apparently, this is what he asked, the student asked for. He goes, my girlfriend doesn't smoke these anymore, and it's a full pack. Do you want it? And I rolled down my window. Oh, no, thank you very much. Thank you very much. That's an act of empathy. Again, misdirect as it is, I may be making it sound in the light too favorable to the individual offering, but look, in the best light, he thought he was of age, but he forgot his ID. Worst light would be, well, I was underage and I want to help him out too. I don't know which one it is. But these are the things that happen. So anyway, back to this. The ID, I then started thinking, I started asking more and more retailers about it. What were their thoughts? Until it built up. Now I have about probably 50 email addresses, and I'm going to hold a Zoom meeting. And I've told them all that this is not anything that any of the communities are currently thinking about doing. I have not proposed it as a definite thing. I don't know if it's the right thing. I says, I just want to have a conversation about thinking outside the box. Because when I'm done with this job, and I guess I'm closer to the end of it than the beginning, I want to leave an imprint that's like, not, I could just do my job like I always do it. I educate, and then we always have 5 or 10%. And by the way, the state, and they're very supportive of our program, but when they tell me, Ron, don't get so worked up about it, it's an A. 95, it's an AA minus. Feel good about that. And I go, I understand it's an A or A minus by that, but it's all the way you spin statistics. If I then presented to you instead that we got an A, 95%, if I said it a different way and said, every 16, 17, 18 stores we go in, sale. Boom, boom, boom. That's not rare. 1% is rare, but not that level. So I then I had a meeting with someone that does education and inspection. It'll serve inspectional component of the Cannabis Control Commission. I said, the heck, I'm going to do a little research on their regs. And I emailed CCC, as they call it. And I did confirm that I was hoping, number one, that's beneath wanting to copy someone else's regulations. I was hoping that they had the scan requirement and we could just steal from it a bit. But no, alas, they do have what is in the regulations for the Marijuana Control Commission is that there's a 2-step ID requirement, one before you get into the building, and then the second at the point of sale, the register. However, there's no scanning. There is reference to scanning. And the reason there's reference to scanning, because he had told me that the majority of marijuana establishments do require scanning of an ID. And there's a variety of reasons for it, but one of them also is the level of amount of marijuana that can be purchased each day at an establishment. So someone like myself, if I want to buy marijuana legally, give it up, give it up, give it up. I don't care how many times I'm there, I don't care how many I'm a regular. I have to do it for any of the establishments that require that. So if it can be done for that, and we can all, and I've gone through all those years, and I know there's there's been a lot of debate about marijuana versus tobacco. All I can go is the statistics I read, the epidemiological studies. This is in no way, shape or form, here I am before a Board of Health saying this, but it still falls in the shadows, the difference between the mortality and morbidity rates of tobacco versus marijuana. Not an endorsement of the drug, but I'm just saying if it's good enough for marijuana, I feel like the tobacco is stuck where it was back in the 20s and beforehand. It's a convenience item at a convenience store. You can't blame the convenience store owners, in my opinion, for that model. It's continued, and I don't know how many convenience stores there are in the States that a true convenience store that does not sell tobacco. I can tell you, if I take them by the word, and I do, they're not excited. Many, maybe perhaps most, are not excited about the product, but they can't stick out as one that doesn't, because then it's all the other products they can't sell. So I'm going to have those Zoom meetings. I wanted you to be aware of them. Okay. There are some difficulties with this policy. One would be equity in terms of, the cost. Mm-hmm. It ranges anything from it's very little cost. It just because they're basically on the 1 yard line. They could just switch it. Because I've had someone switch it. I had someone in Drake it. They switched it. I said, I didn't know you had that system. What made you do that? And they said, you, meaning me, because I had fined them $1,000 for a mistake that the part-time person made. And she lost $500 from that because of the way they deal with managers in that company. So I think it has some potential. I shouldn't say I would love to see it. I'm loving to see what the response is. There's also passport sales, which I never knew existed until I really engaged with the retailers. Sometimes they're presented with a passport. For the most part, or perhaps all the time, you can't scan a passport. So we'll see.
Interesting.
All right?
Yes, very.
That's
Thank
about
you.
it. I just want to
Yeah,
kind of get it
no,
off my
no,
chest, if
no,
nothing else.
no.
Try to reinvent
No.
it a little.
Well,
Thank you.
It's good that everybody isn't staying with the status quo. If things are changing, things are changing. Let's go take a look.
Take a look, exactly. All right, thank you very much.
All right, no, thank you for coming.
You're very welcome.
All right. Motion to accept?
No,
No, not yet.
Department of Public, neurology.
Oh, Narilla. Oh, yeah, that, what do you think?
Yeah, you may even want to speak to it, Dr. Meikle, on.
You don't have
Put me on
to.
a spot.
No, you don't
No,
have
Mass
to.
Department of Public Health sent the notification on February 14th that neurological complications of influenza in pediatric patients. It seemed to be where there was more pediatrics that had complications and/or did not get the vaccine, the flu vaccine, that seemed to be impacting. But I'm sure you know more that you'd like to share on
I
this.
can give you my impressions.
Yeah.
Because it has been like a busy month in general. But number one, I'd say that with this flu, I've seen actually less pneumonias and other complications in general. I've even seen less asthma than I have a lot of years. That doesn't mean that it's across the board. There are other things, and apparently that the rates of the encephalopathy have been like higher to the point that they put this. I haven't had any patients that have had this themselves.
Okay.
But with every like virus, it's like, remember as a resident, I had a kid that couldn't pee. He had adenovirus, and the reason was apparently one of the lesser effects of adenovirus is it can make your bladder bleed. And he had a blood clot in his bladder that blocked his urethra. You don't think about that with the common cold.
Yeah.
So they do have, complications. And I think the second thing is that in terms of vaccination rates, I think that either because there's always a pendulum, and when you push COVID vaccines, that everybody gets ticked off and decides, political, personal rights, whatever, and the pendulum swings back the other way. I'm kind of hoping that as they start talking about measles, and not just measles, people are worried about it, but also the fact that it's not just to protect the individual, but you have to have a certain percentage to protect the community, and it doesn't work, whatever, to sort of have a deeper conversation people have had about the COVID vaccine. So I think that the rates that people have been getting their flu vaccines has been a little bit less this year than the last couple of years. But if I bring it up in the office, it's pretty much almost always, people will get the flu vaccine for their kid, but they're like, oh, I got to go home and talk to the spouse about, the COVID vaccine. So I'm still having troubles getting people to take that. It's probably less than 50% right now on the booster.
All right.
That's it for new business.
Okay.
Motion to accept new business?
All right.
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Okay. All right. Other.
All right.
Letter.
So we have other here.
Yeah.
Do you want to share all the great programs that we have going on for the public since we're
Why, sure.
streaming live?
Taryn is not here, but she created this flyer here. So some of these are our usual programs that we've been having for a while. The Sober Karaoke every second Friday of the month from 7 to 10 at the Chelmsford Center for the Arts in the downstairs cabaret room. It's a good time. We have snacks and mocktails for sale. Usually we have pizza and usually a long line of people who want to sing. So get there early if you want to sing. I'm serious. It's great. It's a good time.
Okay.
Save a life with opioid overdose training. So we're continuing our Narcan training. We do about one a month. We're having, the numbers have decreased over time, and I hope it's because it's just so normal and more people have already been trained. We are doing a youth mental health first aid training. That will be on March 27th from 9 to 3. That's a great program to teach people who aren't used to working with children, or maybe they are but don't know how to recognize an impending mental health crisis. So it teaches them, what to look out for that. It's a good class. It's a long class, but it's really good. Again, we're continuing our
community adult CPR, adult and child CPR with first aid and AED. Again, we're trying to do that once a month. The date here, March 18th, is already full, but we do have another one in April. Stay tuned for that.
That's actually a free program that we offer.
Yeah.
To everybody, they only have to pay $20,
Yeah.
which is the actual cost of the card.
Yep, that's what the cards cost, and we don't make any kind of profit on that.
Okay.
Sharps collection is this coming Monday, so if you have medical sharps, obviously you can't throw them in the trash. So we want to make sure that people have you want to make sure that people have a place to put them. So we dispose of them responsibly.
Yeah.
Care Solace, we still have the mental health referral service that is helping people connect with mental health providers, and also food insecurity and housing support now. We are continuing to do our depression and anxiety support group. The next one is March 25th at the CCA. Blood pressure screenings. I don't get a lot of visitors in my office the first Thursday of the month, but I would love to see more. But I do get a lot of visitors at the Chelmsford Senior Center. We do a veterans blood pressure clinic. We do about 30 every single time we go there. It's pretty awesome. And then that's about it. On the back, we have some fun facts on, what's National Kidney Month, so let's take care of our kidneys. And, we still have some COVID tests available for residents.
Yeah.
We do like to limit it to 1 box per family because there's 5 tests per box, but obviously if you have a larger family, we're not gonna charge you for it. That's pretty much it.
Great. Super. All right.
And then you have the monthly reports for each
Reports.
staff member.
Any rats?
Any rats?
There was one housing one that Mark had to deal with, but it's all set now.
Oh, okay. All right.
Is wholesale the name of a company?
The wholesale, that is a company that we met with that's looking to have they purchased 61 Parkhurst Road,
Okay.
where the old car wash was.
Yes.
And we had a multi-department meeting with them.
Yeah.
And they're looking to do wholesale meat. They're currently in Lawrence, looking for a new location. And it's all state permitted, so all their licenses are through the state, unless they decided to go through retail. I've looked them up. It's,
Where's the old car wash?
they actually sell to restaurants and such. Excuse me?
Where's the old car wash? Is it behind?
No, 61 Parkhurst, it's across from Walmart.
Yeah. The rear of
Parkhurst.
Walmart. You
There's,
got the
rental
storage
place used
place,
to be, yeah.
and then the place with it was the rental place.
rental place.
It was actually in between
Oh, really?
before they tore it down.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I made a mistake when I said that to you. It's actually, the car wash is already a storage building.
Right.
It's the rental place.
It is the rental place.
That they
Okay.
purchased.
So I knew there was
Yes.
an empty.
No wonder
land
you
there.
got confused there, yes.
I know
I was
empty
trying
land
to,
there,
I
and
was thinking
then
maybe it's
maybe
behind
they're building
like Best
something.
Fitness or
Yeah, no,
something
I
like that.
misspoke. It's the rental.
Okay, it's the rental place.
Rental
Okay,
building.
okay. All right. That'd be interesting to think about. The state only.
Zero
As far as I'm
Just say you can't stop in.
I didn't. Oh,
As an
well,
inspectors.
that's what I'm talking about.
Right.
I never worried about whether the state said, well, we do the other thing. No, we're going to be there too. whether you like it or not. So, okay. All right. Any,
I haven't found the rats yet.
you haven't found the rat yet?
Let me see,
One
which
of
one
the
did he have it on?
Uh,
Or is it one he's working on now? Let's
think
see.
about one, or-
He had quite a few housings this,
What went in next to Dave's Hot Chicken? I saw
that
it.
is Cava. It's a
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Mediterranean restaurant.
Mediterranean, there it is,
Okay.
yeah.
Isn't there something going in where the old soap place that lasted 14 seconds?
Yeah, we actually, Playa Bowls.
No, that's the old Dunkin' Donuts.
Oh, Playa Bowls is going to, yeah.
Okay.
The old
It's
Dunkin'
an Indian restaurant that plans to go into where
Really?
the old soap place was. We don't have their plans or their specs yet. But the reason I thought of Playa Bowls is because we just received their specs
Oh,
and
okay.
their plan review today.
Okay.
And that's going in where the Dunkin' Donuts was, next to Adiamo's, that
Okay.
is
Yeah.
now going to be
Yeah.
a smokehouse,
Yeah.
barbecue smokehouse.
Barbecue smokehouse thing, yeah.
The Korean one's at Drum Hill,
Oh, okay. Oh, wow.
I found
A
them
lot going
nice.
on.
and they're opened.
Hey,
Yeah.
yeah.
I found the mice.
You found the
You found
mice?
it?
Yeah, it's on Gay Street.
There you go.
Somebody's taking the garbage cans across the street on the town property.
Good idea. Don't leave it on your property, right? I know where that is, okay. I know where that is. Across the street. That's, all right.
Do you know what somebody did in Drake? They decided just to take their like oversized TV and dump it on our office like lawn in Drake.
Yeah?
And then then you look up like how you dispose of these things in Drake, Chelmsford, or otherwise, and it's basically you go up to Best Buy and you give them $29.99,
Right.
and they take it from you. Doesn't matter what the reason is. So and it's like
So
Well-
they left it at your office to do it, so that
They just
they didn't
dumped
have
it.
to.
They saved $29.
I spent $29.
Well, I know that. I was just gonna say.
Could have taken it to the Rage Cage.
The what?
Yeah.
Cage, they take
Rage
it.
Cage, yeah.
As long as it's not a tube TV.
Wait, what's Rage Cage?
It's in Nashua, and you go and you can smash
crap.
stuff.
It's an entertainment
Smash
place we
stuff.
can.
Entertainment of
They're always
breaking
looking for
things.
Do you
stuff to
pay?
smash.
Do you pay?
No, they love that stuff. It's free.
Oh, they want to do it.
They want.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, so
donate
you
it.
don't,
just give them
you
and
don't
they
get to like
smash it up.
take out your aggression on
I
someone.
mean,
Somebody's like
no.
littering.
You pay to go in and
You
do
give
the
it.
rage.
You give it, and they like smash it and
Smash
stuff.
it up, yeah.
Because we moved from Phoenix, we had like 100 fluorescent tubes.
Yeah, all right.
It was $2 a piece at the Ace Hardware to get rid of them. So it cost us like $200 to get rid of all the
Well, again,
fluorescent.
with the different heavy metals and other kinds
Yeah.
of things that potentially are in some of this stuff, you go, wait a minute.
Well, we used to have our tech guy. They were all named Scott. All of our tech guys. And
Can we get a motion to accept other?
motion to accept other?
Okay.
This might be relevant.
Second.
All right, let's keep it another. Go ahead.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
So what he used to do is like when we needed to get rid of, this is all of our sensitive data, all the patient's information
Yeah, yeah.
is on our hard drives.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
And so he would get rid of it. And the way he would do it, he would take it at the shooting range and shoot it or blow it up.
A little ineloquent, but.
Okay.
Wouldn't a magnet be easier?
So, next scheduled meeting is
Not that
April
bad.
1st. April Fool's Day, there it is.
Are you going to tell us which room it's in, or do we have to find it? Is that the joke?
That's a joke. No, it will be back into the fire training room.
Okay.
Okay.
Unless something comes up that we end up choosing that we need to
Need
have
to
it
be
live.
here,
But
yeah.
right now, it will be
Should be quiet for a little bit.
back to the fire training room.
I hope that Ron had his face change and then he wanted to say something while I was talking about 47 Market. And I hope I didn't say anything that
No,
I
no,
said it wrong.
no,
Because
no.
we've known him for years. He does a fantastic job. He's an honorable person. He really cares about what he does and the businesses he sees and stuff like that. But we've also met with Bob before.
Yes.
And he's always been really honorable and all also. But I think it's just one of those things that the reason that it's a deterrent is because it is so high. Just to make absolutely certain that everybody, I'm looking at him talking about whatever the cost is to put these scanners in, and I'm thinking that if I was at risk for being fined $2,000,
Yeah.
I'll pay the $700 to put that. But these people, their profit margins, they've always said,
Right.
it's so narrow, and that's why they
Yeah.
can't get rid of tobacco products because it's the only thing that makes money in these
Right,
places.
right, right,
So-
right.
You know, as feedback, you said it perfectly. That,
Yes.
that there were two honorable situations here, and that makes it very, very difficult because, you believe that they were both honest and had integrity. I mean, you led with something very, very positive.
Right.
So that was very well done.
Yes. Was. Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. I want to thank you for the info before we.